We are happy to have you come here if you're interested in learning more information. So if you are, then we're happy to have you here, and hopefully this will answer a lot of the questions that you may have. I would like to point out that the closed captioning are enabled for this session. You can move them down by clicking on the pin, or you can hide them by clicking on the down arrow. Now, I would like to introduce your meeting host, Stacy Clendenin, the Advanced and Gifted Coordinator, and Marshall Nelson, the Assistant Director of Advanced and Gifted.
Thank you, Ms. Lansing. Good evening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Again, as she said, I am Marshall Nelson, our Advanced and Gifted Assistant Director, and we are very appreciative of you joining us tonight. We are going to go over some information that you may know, you may not know, but all of this information that we discussed tonight is also on the website. So I do want to share that with you all as well under Advanced and Gifted. But let's go ahead and get started. So I am, again, Marshall Nelson. I am the Assistant Director of our Advanced and Gifted program. I work with Stacy Clendenin, who is our Advanced and Gifted Coordinator. No worries, you'll get to see her really soon. And then we have point of contacts at each grade level or grade band. We have Natalie Seitler, who is our primary grades point of contact. Andrea Bunner, who is our elementary grades point of contact. Jamie Burke, who is our middle grades, and Jennifer Hale, who is our secondary grades. Each of these individuals can be your first level of contact if you have a question. And then if they can't answer that question, they will relay that to us. But those are our point of contacts that we work closely with throughout the year. To just address questions and they also assist us with our testing that we do for gifted and things to that nature. So let me just tell you a little bit about what I do. As the Assistant Director, I provide consultation and direction to faculty regarding provisions of the Advanced and Gifted services. I facilitate professional development opportunities to increase rigorous instructional practices. I manage and review gifted eligibility processes with our coordinator, Stacy, and also those local school administrators that I just showed you and shared the names with. And I develop and oversee the school-based implementation of our advanced and gifted policies and procedures. Of course, I do way more than this, but one, I had to keep it to one slide, and two, I just did some of the bigger things that I address.
Good evening. So I am Stacy Clendenin. I am the Advanced and Gifted Coordinator here at GCA. So some of the things that I'm responsible for in my role, I coordinate with those school-based point of contacts. So if they aren't able to get you answers to your questions, they will work with me to get some answers on those things. I work on planning and facilitating professional development for our staff, coaching, observing, giving feedback, and doing model lessons. Review and monitor gifted instructional plans, monitor instructional delivery and curricular planning, and coordinate the gifted evaluation process. So if you have ever had a student involved in the gifted evaluation process at GCA, I'm sure you know my name because I send all of those communications out to you. All right, let's take a look. 1 second here. All right, let's take a look at some of the high points tonight. So we wanted to make sure that we addressed this question. We are the Advanced and Gifted program, but Advanced and Gifted are two different things, and we want to make sure you understand that and know the difference. So if your child has been sent a letter saying that they're part of the Advanced program this year, and you would have received it if they were already, that means they have met the requirements determined by our school district. Every school district has its own requirements. So if your child was in a previous school district as advanced, that doesn't necessarily mean that they would meet our requirements for our school district, and vice versa. If you moved out of GCA they may not recognize it either. It is a district by district thing. It is determined by an annual review. So that means it can change from year to year. So just because your child was in advance last year does not mean they will be this year. And same if they're in this year does not mean they're guaranteed to get in next year. Students may be served in the advanced program by general education teachers or gifted certified instructors. We have kids that kind of ride the fence on both of those. So a gifted designation is very different. These are state requirements, not school district requirements, and they are recognized within all Georgia public schools. Enrollment in the gifted program is permanent as long as the student meets the continuation requirements, which is a document that gifted families sign the first couple weeks of every school year. Or parents choose to revoke services. So if you see your child is not enjoying being in the gifted program and it's becoming a stressor for them, or grades are struggling, parents have the right to revoke services at any time as well. Everyone in the gifted program is served by gifted certified teachers, and they are enrolled year to year. It's not an annual review like it is with the advanced designation. All right. So how it looks in elementary, middle, and high, and it should say primary as well. So primary and elementary, we look quite different from any of the metro school districts in the Atlanta area. So students here at GCA in primary and elementary grades are served in all 4 content areas by gifted teachers. This means that they are served all day, every day as gifted, and it's not that traditional like pull-out enrichment model that you may know from your local brick and mortar school. So we're very proud of this fact. We take a lot of pride in the way that we're able to serve those kiddos. In middle school, they are also served in all 4 content areas, which is kind of the traditional model for middle school students. As they get up into 8th grade, tracking options become available for them based on their performance that may allow them to take high school classes in the 8th grade. So again, it's geared towards our gifted students, but it is also based on performance. So they have to also meet set criteria. In high school, students may be served in all 4 content areas, but they may not be also. As they get up into high school, we may notice more of those strengths and weaknesses, and they may prefer to take those like AP and honors classes in their area of strength, and maybe take a general education course in their weakest area. So to be gifted in high school, you are required to take at least one AP, honors, or dual enrollment course every school year to stay active in the program. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Nelson to talk about our criteria for the advanced program here.
So our advanced and gifted program, there are no advanced courses for K through 2. Students that excel have their needs met through our differentiation, in the classroom, and also may be referred for gifted evaluation. Our returning students in 3rd through 8th grade are required to have a 90% or higher on MAP and a 90% or higher on their interim assessment average, 2 through 5, from the 21-22 school year. Our new students in 3 through 8 are students new to GCA. They must score an above grade level status on our Ready for placement in advanced classes, and students new to middle or high school on an existing accelerated track will have a transcript review and will be placed for a probationary period if they do not meet this criteria. So we do know that, they may be coming from different areas. And so that's why we look at where the transcript is, because as you all may know, many of the classes or courses can be different, have different names, and cover different things based on the standard. So that's what we do in our review. So I want to discuss something that oftentimes parents have questions about, and that is our gifted referral process. First, at GCA, we conduct gifted testing once a year, which is in our spring semester. We start as early as January, but we start that in our spring semester. So there are two ways that a student could be referred for testing. There could be a suggested referral, which is where a student, it could be referred by teachers, counselors, administrators, their parents, even themselves, if they feel that they feel that they should be tested, and so they can be referred. Additionally, we have something called an automatic referral. And an automatic referral is where that we have students at a specific level. They have scored at a specific level on a nationally known reference test. And if they've been scored at that level, then they're automatically referred for review. Next, we have the eligibility team who gets all of those referrals. We have an eligibility team at each grade band, and the eligibility team considers the information, they review the referrals, and they decide if it's appropriate to proceed with a formal evaluation. They look at other data points to assist in that review and to make that decision. Next, if the eligibility team decided it's appropriate to proceed, there will be a formal evaluation. The student is referred for gifted education in 4 areas. Those are mental ability, achievement, creativity, and motivation. And there are assessments in each of those categories. If the eligibility team decided that additional evaluation is not needed, they would remain in general education. Then finally, after all of that information is received and the results are in, some take longer than others. But once those results are in, then the student would either receive gifted services for the following year, or they would remain in general education.
All right, so we are going to talk a little bit more in depth about how you qualify as gifted. So like she said, there's 4 different areas involved in gifted eligibility testing. The first one is mental ability. And for that area, we use COGAT testing. We also will sometimes use one called the NNAT. The achievement testing is map testing. So that area is kind of nice because your students already start out with that data in place. So that's one thing they won't have to do additionally when we're looking at gifted. Creativity is the next area, and we use something called the TTCT, which is the Torrance Test of Creative Thinking. So this is like a drawing-based test, and it's looking at idea generation. It's actually something I could talk about all day because I'm fascinated with this test. And the last area is motivation. So for high schoolers, we look at GPA for the last 2 school years. And then for elementary and middle school, we're looking at the gifted rating scale or the gifted evaluation scale based on age of the student. And those are filled out by 2 teachers that work with your student, and it looks at characteristics of giftedness, and they'll rate them on like a we never see this, we sometimes see it, or we always see it type of a thing. Okay, so if you are new to GCA, you may have some questions about these things. If your child has been gifted in any other Georgia public school district, they are gifted here at GCA. That's called reciprocity between districts. So anyone who has met those criteria outside of GCA are eligible to receive services here once we have the appropriate records. We need something called the Gifted Eligibility Report. That is something that you had to sign and should have been given to you at the previous school with all of those gifted assessments we just talked about and the scores that your student received. And then there's a statement saying student is eligible or is not eligible. Once we have that paperwork, they are eligible to be served here at GCA. So out of state is another one. So there is no state to state reciprocity. We are still in a situation where every state has a different criteria for what they consider gifted, which I'm not a huge fan of with how transient our population has become. I'd love to see a national criteria. But for now, we have state to state decisions. So if your student is moving from a different state and they were gifted in that state, we will review their paperwork and we will see what kind of fits in with our criteria here, and we'll use that. And then we'll provide your student with the kind of missing assessments that they would need for Georgia eligibility. All right.
So next we'll talk about probation. So students eligible for advanced and gifted services must meet satisfactory performance in the gifted classroom. Um, they can be served in the program and they should be evaluated at a minimum twice yearly. Students who don't maintain that satisfactory performance in their classes will be placed on probation. Once they're placed on probation, the student's probationary status remains in effect for 18 weeks or at least one semester. For high school students, probation remains in effect until they reach the end of the course. Advanced students, of course, don't have probation because it is a year to year designation. So they don't have probation. It is because every year, like I said, we have to evaluate where they are. But students have to maintain that, and it's a continuation policy that they will sign every year, that they understand what the requirements are to stay in the program. And we send those at the beginning of every year. So advanced placement courses. So our high school students are eligible to take advanced placement courses. Basically, they're required to sign an AP agreement via DocuSign that we send out. If not, they will be removed from the course. And let me say, you do not have to be advanced or gifted to take an AP course. It's just that we do a lot for our students, align them with our AP courses based on how they've matriculated, but you do not, or you are not required to take an AP course and be gifted. That is not a requirement. But College Board requires students to sign up for AP testing in October. And this is something really big for us because signing up for AP testing can possibly get your child college credit. If the school accepts it, which most schools do, and if they score high enough. But he or she must register to take that exam by October at the GCA office. Students also have the option to take that exam at a local school, but parent and the student are responsible for reaching out to register for that exam with their local school. If a student needs accommodation on any College Board test, including AP exams, students must submit those to College Board, not to anyone at GCA. College Board has their own requirements and their own process for accommodations. So if you have a child that receives accommodations, College Board reviews that and makes that decision. We do not make those decisions. And a lot of times parents, I want to say this, can sometimes mix advanced placement or AP courses, which is for our high school students, with an advanced student. And so please keep that in mind, because an advanced student could be a fourth grader, but an AP or an advanced placement student can only be generally a high school student. So we do oftentimes get, parents of a sixth grader that might say, I have an AP student, and it's like, wait a minute. But a lot of times parents mix that up. But advanced placement is a College Board course, a College Board curricula. And they handle all of that, from the dates of the exams, the times of the exams, all of that information.
I wanted to take a few minutes to answer some of our most frequently asked questions. So some of these may answer questions that are already in your mind. to ask. The first one is, how do I refer my child for gifted testing? So referrals for gifted testing will open up on January the 6th this year. So you might want to go ahead and put that in your phone calendar, mark that down so you get a reminder about that. That will be on our school website on the Advanced and Gifted page. So when that window opens and you visit our Advanced and Gifted page, a pop-up will appear with a link to a survey that you'll fill out to make a parent referral for testing. Students who are moved along in that process will test throughout the spring semester, and if they are found eligible, they'll begin receiving services in the 23-24 school year, which is hard to even say. Can't believe that.
Can I step in for 1 second, Ms. Clinton?
Of course.
So parents, I will say that if the date has come, January 6th has come, and you do not see that on your Advanced and Gifted page, so you've gone to the website, you've clicked on the Advanced and Gifted page, and that pop-up does not come up, then sometimes you will have to delete your cookies, because a lot of times it's pulling up that old website that always comes up. So you will have to delete your cookies, and then it should come up. Thank you.
Good remembering. Yes, that came up last year. All right. And then we did talk about, what if your child was gifted in another district and we just need that gifted eligibility report? That is something that you can get directly to me, and my email will be put up here at the end, so you can jot that down if you need it. And then my child had recommendations from his or her school, but was not placed in those classes. Why? So again, we talked about this a bit at the beginning about advanced. So recommendations from other schools are helpful, but because of our course alignment and requirements in conjunction with our criteria for advancement, we may not be able to honor those recommendations. So again, this comes more into play in high school, and sometimes late middle school, when they're on a track and it may not match our track, and their criteria might not match our criteria. And then this is who you contact about the gifted program at your school. So these are the email addresses for each of the 4 schools. And we'll put this up again in a minute in case you want to jot those down. All right. We do have the attendance link here for you. So Ms. Gilliard, if you want to throw that in the chat for us, that would be great. So parents, if you will take a moment, we will open it up for questions here in just a minute, but we want to make sure that everyone who is in attendance is able to fill out the survey for their attendance, so we know who is here with us this evening. All right, Ms. Nelson, you want to kick off the...
Sure. We do ask, though, that you all fill out the attendance link. It is very important for us. And, you know, just keeping just knowing how well our information is received in regards to attendance. So please, please, please take a moment to complete that. So at this time, we will open up to questions. However, because of student privacy, we cannot discuss individual student concerns. So we cannot discuss your individual student situation. If you have a question about your individual student, such as, oh, I want to know if my child is advanced. If your child is advanced, then you should have already received an email regarding that. Or, you know, based on my child's test scores, my child is Bobby, I will kind of stop you, because we don't want to put that information out here. And so it is private, and we want to make sure that we keep these questions as general as possible. However, you can reach out to myself or Ms. Clendenin with those personal or more pointed questions. And so, as you can see, Ms. Clendenin has put questions in the chat. But here we go.